It's coming. On the night of October 31st, the veil that separates the living from the dead will be lifted, and people all over the world will confront and live out their worst fears. Houses and stores will be adorned with coffins and tombstones, spiders and cobwebs, black cats and flying bats, witches on brooms, ghosts, zombies, and ghouls. Carved jack-o'-lanterns will be illuminated by candles from within, emitting an eerie, otherworldly glow. Menacing groups of children, dressed in frightful costumes, will make their rounds, banging on doors, demanding candy and other goodies, with threatening shouts of, appease the spirits, bribe them with treats, or suffer all forms of mischief at their hands. Creatures of horror, products of our worst nightmares, will come alive to torment and terrify the living on the night when all hell breaks loose. Since Halloween came to be, people have been scaring each other and themselves. But why this fascination with horror? And when did Halloween begin? The origin of Halloween is ancient. Thousands of years ago, the Celts, one of Europe's early pagan tribes, observed a festival believed to be the precursor of Halloween. The Celts divided the year into the light half and the dark half. The beginning of the dark half on October 31st coincided with the beginning of the Celtic year. On this night, they celebrated Samhain, their harvest festival, to welcome the Celtic New Year. The Celts believed that during the transition from the light half to the dark half of the Celtic year, the world of the living and the world of the dead merged, allowing the spirits of the dead and other beings to cross over into the land of the living on the scariest night of the year. Aside from the Celts, many other ancient cultures ritually observed the period for their dead. One of the ancient pagan traditions that survived into our modern age was Lemuria. The ancient Romans believed that this was the time when the dead came to haunt the living. Lemuria culminated on May 13. In 609 AD, Pope Boniface IV proclaimed May 13 as the Feast of All Holy Martyrs. After the Roman persecutions ended, the feast was renamed All Hallows Day, and later All Saints' Day, a Christian holy day to honor not only the martyrs, but all the saints of the Church. By choosing the same day, the Church successfully replaced the pagan festival of Lemuria with a Christian feast. In 835 AD, Pope Gregory IV moved the feast to November 1st to deal a fatal blow to the pagan festival of Samhain that was celebrated on the night of October 31st. The eve before All Hallows Day was called All Hallows Evening. This was later shortened into Halloween. The Church went one step further by adding a feast to honor not just the saints, but the Christian faithful who departed this world. November 2nd became All Souls Day, a feast anchored on the Church's doctrine on purgatory. On this day, the living remembered and prayed for the eternal repose of the souls of their dear departed to hasten their release from purgatory and their entry into heaven. But even as the Church sought to firmly establish Christian customs and traditions, the elements that would later give life to the pop culture phenomenon of Halloween had also started to converge as European immigrants brought their old world customs and beliefs with them into the New World. At the dawn of the 20th century in America, what started as a pagan festival in Europe centuries ago turned into a night of mayhem. Destructive pranks were committed on Halloween night, To the dismay of authorities, property owners, and citizens, marauding gangs of adolescent boys plagued towns and cities, vandalizing and destroying property and injuring unsuspecting victims. Halloween was out of control. To tame Halloween, concerned groups invented a variety of activities to turn prank night into fun night. Parties, games and raffles, costume contests, trick-or-treating, public parades, and carnivals were held on Halloween night. Halloween fast became a popular yearly festival for kids as well as adults. American companies realized Halloween's profit potential, gave it a makeover, and turned it into a multi-million-dollar business. But what has become of All Saints' Day? Has Halloween succeeded in sweeping it away into some forgotten corner of contemporary life? Today, there is a growing concern among Christians that the modern celebration of Halloween trivializes and even glamorizes evil, the occult, superstitious, and pagan practices and beliefs that are incompatible with the Christian faith. Halloween, with its powerful appeal in the guise of fun and festivity, threatens to completely take over the proper observance of All Saints' Day. In contrast to Halloween, the Church regards All Saints' Day as a time for honoring the saints. To reclaim the sacredness of the Eve of All Saints, we need to create a counterculture that will serve as a Christ-centered alternative to Halloween. But how? By starting a tradition of our own in every diocese and parish in the country. All Saints' Day is not only a time of solemn remembrance and prayer, but also a time of celebration. It is a time to joyfully recognize the victory of the saints, to emphasize the triumph of good over evil, and to reaffirm our belief in God's providence and all-powerful protection. Forms of this tradition have already gained a foothold in various countries around the globe. On All Saints' Day, and on the days before and after All Saints, Christian churches and schools in various parts of the world help to keep this tradition alive by holding festive marches or parades to honor their favorite saints. In the Philippines, some parishes and lay organizations, like the Prayer Warriors of the Holy Souls, have already started holding their own marches and parades in honor of the saints. Children dressed in costumes depicting their favorite saint parade around their parishes to the beat and music of a marching band. Fun and solemnity combine to create an experience that is both positive and uplifting. People's attention is drawn away from glamorized symbols and personifications of evil, and rightly focused on the heroic lives of the saints and their victory over evil by the grace of God. The seeds have been planted, but for the tradition to take root, we need your help to firmly establish the March of Saints in every diocese and parish across the country. To reclaim the sacredness of All Saints and to give back the glory to God.